I went alone. My relationship with Mr. B had involved no more than 9 short exchanges, some in private in his office on the 4th floor of the theater, or the elevator, and a few during class or rehearsal in front of everyone. But I still knew I had to go. At that time of my life, as one of the youngest members of the New York City Ballet, I was not particularly close to any of my peers I aspired to but would never equal, even though I danced right alongside them. It never occurred to us few girls that Balanchine chose from his school to be in his company, that we might be the last he would choose before he never chose again. We knew him at the end when we were so young. Our loss is not greater, but we will live with it longer. It haunts me now. Balanchine was omnipresent in the theater in those final years before he became ill. His presence has only increased since then. Now he is entirely unavoidable. It was in those long, low-lit, winding, narrow hallways of the theater that ran their slim course around the great body of the stage, which rose like the apse of a church in our midst, that we first noticed he was occasionally pushing off of a wall, as if stabilizing himself. It was upsetting to see him vulnerable, the man whose entire art can be viewed as a supreme high-wire act of balancing the spiritual inside the physical, seducing each from its entirety, making them merge. Even his name, Balanchine, contains the word balance. This teetering was just one of the symptoms of what he did die from, diagnosed only after his death as Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease. But it was the one we saw, the one I think he must have hated most. It seemed especially cruel. Not long after that, he never came to the theater again, never taught class again, never took a dancer's foot in his hand and showed it what to do, never walked those halls again. But before this, on those random meetings with him in the theater, I was always too shy to say anything more than a quiet hello, said more like a question. So filled was I with uncertainty. He would always give a small bow and a nasal, elongated hello back, as if imitating my American accent. It occurs to me only now that he respected us, me, as much as we did him, though such a notion was entirely unimaginable back then, when we were just out of the school and so in loving thrall to this man, this magician, this maker of ballets that made us far more beautiful than we were. Mr. B knew all too well that we viewed him as God. He neither encouraged this nor liked it. It was simply the way it was, inevitable. "When I pull the toilet chain," he liked to say in a doomed attempt to make himself human to us, "it is for the same reason that you do." While amusing, this did little to unthrone him in our eyes. When Mr. B performed his small and ready bow, there was always the nod that went with it, the nod that we all still imitate when we speak of him. How much was conveyed in that small tilt of his head! Mr. B was our very own Fred Astaire, only more distant, more esoteric, more old world, though equally elegant. That nod, up then down, carried that amazing face with the chiseled aquiline nose and that slight exotic inflection gleaned from his Georgian blood. With a small move on an inclined surface, he looked at you as if he were far away, but then his gaze would shoot out like a laser beam and pierce you. I sometimes thought he was looking at us through a kaleidoscope of time itself, from St. Petersburg, where he was born as a dancer at the Tsar's Imperial Theater School, from that unimaginable extravagance and luxury and velvet-lined carriages, to the famine, cholera, and horrors of the Bolshevik Revolution, then to Europe and the convergence of modernism and Diaghilev, to us, the American dancers, the many Ginger Rogerses that he dreamed of after leaving the blue and gold Mariinsky Theater. By now I had been in the company for 6 years, and I still had nothing to say to him. I knew only one thing, the desire to dance for him. But he was in the hospital, and he was dying, and I knew I must go despite the fear.